have one of our illustrious 8th graders here, Gavin Simzak, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right,
Thank
Gavin.
you, Gavin.
Thank you, Gavin. Now we are pledged.
Now we are pledged.
To not kill.
Okay, I'd like to start by introducing the head table.
Well,
I'm staying
For
close
those
to
who
you.
might not know some of the faces there. The department heads aren't up here, but they're probably in the back of the room. So we'll start with the Board of Selectmen, Margaret Turner, Mike Aronson, and Rich Rita. And after that, Mark Dakota. And next to him taking minutes is not Sharon. It's
Nope.
Judy Ruffy.
Nancy.
And
Nancy Dakota. Nancy Dakota.
Oh, hi Nancy. A new job? No. Nancy Dakota, acting as Sharon Jerome this evening, taking our minutes. And Judy Rocky sitting next to Mark. So our department heads, I think, are probably all here. Brooke Wakefield, if you could just stand up in the back, is our recreation director. Jim Mayhew is director of public works. Chris Hodges, director of public safety. Dave Noyes, chief of police, and Greg Campbell.
Greg's not here.
Greg's not here. Okay, so forget that. Next, I want to remind everybody about the rules of order. They are printed in the annual report. They're printed in the annual report every year. Hopefully everybody has a copy of it. If you don't, go back and pick one up. Because a lot of what we're going to be discussing tonight is in here. The warrant, for example, and all the articles. But especially when we get to Article 22 is the operating budget, I believe. And there'll be a lot of charts in here which will help you with the numbers for the municipal budget. So please don't be shy. Go get your annual report if you don't have one. The town warrant is on page 23. So
In
you
blue.
can follow along with us. You see that we actually start town meeting. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. That we actually start town meeting, our deliberative session, at Article 8, because we already voted during the day today and during our official polling hours for Articles 1 through 7?
Mm-hmm.
1 through 8. 1 through 8 we did it. And we're starting at Article 9, which is a bond issue. Did I say that wrong?
Nope. Yes.
Please, everybody, take a moment to silence your electronic devices, whatever they may be. Put them on silent or shut them off if you don't know how to put them on silent.
Don't worry about it. I'll find it later. Rich will call me.
This evening, because the first 3 articles are bond issues, they have to be by law voted on by paper ballots. This is why you received 3 ballots together. The Article 9 will be green, 10 is yellow, and 11 is blue. So I'll explain that a little more as we go through them. And also, this is your voter card, so when I say all those in favor, this just helps me see your hands. So I know that you're not scratching your head instead. Everybody's checked in and has these materials for everybody who's a resident, registered voter. And the last thing, it was brought to my attention after town meeting last year that it would be a good idea to tell people, if they don't already know, and there is a sheet, I think, at the handout station for sign-ups for Nixle, Code Red, and also the our town website, watervillevalley.org, and if you go there under /subscribe, you can sign up for urgent alerts and meeting agendas coming up, minutes from the meeting, news and announcements. You can go through and select which one of these things you'd be interested in, because you might be interested in something the planning board does, but not the ZBA, so you would check that box if you want to receive all information related to the planning board. So I encourage everybody to use these resources if you haven't already signed up for Nixle, Code Red, and on our town watervillevalley.org website, because a common complaint that I hear is that people don't know where the information is. And most of it, or if not all of it, is on the town website. So that's my pedantic but helpful speech about that information. Moving on, we will open with Article 9. If you look at the warrants on page 23, you'll see, is that on page 23 or further in? 25. Okay. Is everybody with us on Article 9? May I hear a motion on Article 9?
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $900,000 for the purchase of a fire department ladder truck. Funding to come from $828,500 in bonds and notes and $71,500 from the existing ladder truck capital reserve, and to authorize the issuance of not more than $828,500 of bonds or notes in accordance with the provisions of the Municipal Finance Act, RSA 33, and to authorize the selectmen to issue and negotiate such bonds or notes and to determine the rate of interest thereon.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Please note that the selectmen unanimously recommend the approval of this article, and because it's a bond issue, it takes a 2/3 vote. After we get through this bond article and the next two, I think everything else on the warrant, up all the way up to Article 30 and 31, are simple majority, more than 50%. So why don't we talk about it and then we'll explain the voting procedure. Chris Hodges will do a presentation on this article.
Hold it really close.
Okay.
I hear that's not working well.
It is. It will. Yeah.
Hello?
Oh, yeah. It works. Don't stand in front. Yeah, you can put it on.
Use this one. Here. The phone stand.
There you go, right there. Yep.
Okay, welcome to town meeting 2019. It's good to see everybody here. This is democracy at its best.
Depends on our result.
So I'm in front of you to tell you about our ladder truck bond project. In 2012, we were scheduled to replace our ladder truck. In 2012, I went before the CIP, and they said, well, what's wrong with the ladder truck? And I said, there's really nothing wrong with the ladder truck right now. So the direction that we were given was, well, test the ladder truck. If it works fine, let's keep it, and we'll reassess it every year. So fast forward to 2018. Let me backtrack. In 2012, the ladder truck was 25 years old. So in 2018, it's 31 years old. We go to test it, and there was some issues. The ladder truck failed. So we went to our consultant and said, is this ladder truck worth fixing? And to make a long story short, they said, no, stop fixing this ladder truck. And the consultant was actually the guy that we were giving the business to fix the ladder truck. He said, stop, please stop. So we listened to him with a grain of salt, and we got some estimates on repairing the truck. The estimates were over $100,000 to fix our truck here. So subsequently, the truck was taken out of service and scrapped. In August, it was
September.
We had an emergency appropriation to enter a lease to a used or to a demo garage. Okay. that's where we are. The selectmen voted to enter into a one-year lease for a 2017 E1 ladder truck with a $103,100 annual payment for 12 years to own. And there's a non-appropriation cost. So if we were to continue with this, the selectmen would have to vote every year for 12 years to own this truck. We don't want to do that. So currently we are leasing, we have a one-year lease on the truck that we currently have. Without getting into too much, I'll let the questions, if there are any, need my answers here, my response here. But the need for a ladder truck, we have 10 high occupancy buildings, 3 stories or higher. 7 buildings with a potential occupancy of 100 or more people. We have some reach issues for some residential properties on small uneven lots. We have some staffing limitations, and if we had to count on Plymouth for a ladder truck, we're talking at half an hour to 40 minutes before they can get here. So, our options today are continue the lease of the current truck, purchase a used truck with a bond purchase, or buy out the current truck lease with a bond. And that's what we're recommending. So, the advantages of continuing the current lease that we have are the factory warranties that come with this demo truck. This demo truck has the same warranties as if we bought it brand new. So there's a lifetime frame warranty, a 20-year structural warranty, and several other warranties that I didn't outline in the slide. They go from all the plumbing of the truck to the aerial device. There's a 15-year warranty on it for everything structural. It meets all the current NFPA standards. NFPA is the standard for firefighting. The National Fire Protection Association. They set standards for all our equipment, our gear, our staffing, and so on. This is actually a big one. It fits into the fire station. And I'll elaborate on that a little later. Annual payments will continue at $100,000 for 11 more years. But that's not a big one. The total cost of this is $1,103,300. So back at the hearing we had for the lease in September, I was directed by the sense of the meeting and the selectmen to look at the used fire truck options. So I did that, and we had several potential fire trucks that met our specs come up in our queue. I subscribe to a service that is a broker that just continuously looks for fire trucks for us. So we had a couple options. To sum it up, one option was $550,000 for 2007, and one was $700,000 for 2014. Either one of these trucks fit in our fire bay. So to acquire one of these trucks, we would have had to have built on or raised the roof or built another van. The pros to purchasing a used truck would be less capital investment in the truck. And the vehicle may be available immediately. The cons are there isn't any fire trucks you can buy that have more than a 1-year warranty. You buy it, you cover it for a year, and then you're on your own. And as we have learned, fixing fire trucks can be very, very expensive. And then again, another con would be the need to build a new bay. It may or probably won't meet the current safety standards, and it's got a shorter useful life. So that's the used truck option. So buying out the lease with the bond issue is what we're recommending. It's $828,500 bonded over the entire useful life of the truck. So this is an important funding point to make, and that is if we end up with a 25 to 30-year bond, the truck is going to last us at least 30 years, probably 35 years. So if we end up with a 30-year bond, people in this town 30 years from now are going to be paying their share of the ladder truck. So it's not a cost for the current taxpayers. It's going to be spread out over the 30 years. So think of where you're going to be in 30 years from now. If you're here, you'll still be paying for the ladder truck. But the people who may come into town will also be paying for it. Sorry about this, Mike. It's not behaving.
This one, try this, try that one.
Hello? Okay, that's
Hey,
much better.
much better.
I'm sorry. Okay, so we talked about the bond, the length of the bond and who pays for it. The annual payments fit into a long-range capital program debt plan, and I'll let Mark explain that if it's a question. The current truck fits into the bay, as I said before, and it's the total cost of the bond is $1.17 million. So we did a lot of research on this, and we came up with this option. To buy this truck today would be $1.6 million. You can't buy a new truck for less than that. It's got no fancy bells and whistles other than the stuff they throw on for a demo. So it's quite a bargain. So obviously, that's our recommendation, is to approve the bond for the purchase of the ladder truck we are currently leasing. So,
Thank you.
questions?
Mark, did you have anything you wanted to say before we open it to the
No.
floor?
No, let's
Okay,
go to
so we'll
questions.
take questions from the floor now. Cindy,
Here, give me, yeah, put
could you
that up.
stand up, Cindy, and say your name?
You got to.
Did you mention anywhere in this that what is the year of age of the truck now?
31.
No, the new one that you were.
The new one is a 2007,
Okay.
and it comes with the warranty of a brand new truck.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else?
Say
So
your name.
Jacob, two questions. What do you mean at the first part where you say when the truck goes out, property owners will be paying for the use of the truck? How does that work?
Madam
And
Moderator.
the second question you can answer is, how many times does this little beauty go out a year?
Yeah, it's not little. We go out several times. I don't have the exact numbers. We go out for chimney fires. So if you look in all of those condos, they have the big towers with the chimneys. They're getting older. So we have, that's one of our main functions. And it's not just height, it's reach. So we go out with that maybe 30 or 40 times a year for that, to answer the question. The bond, Mark can answer the bond more clearly than I can, the bond question.
Not the bond, it's about, you said the property owners.
Right. Let me try to answer that question for you. So if we do a lease, we would make the lease payments for 11 more years, and it would be $100,000 a year to make those payments. So the taxpayers between now and 2030 would pay 100% of the cost of that truck. We expect to continue to use that truck through 2044 or 2050, right? That's the expected useful life. But none of the taxpayers from 2031 to 2050 will pay anything for the truck other than maintenance. They will not have any share in the payment of that lease. By bonding it, it costs more because the interest over a longer period of time costs more. However, the users of that truck over the useful life of that truck are the ones who are paying for it. So that's what Chris was alluding to. Does that make sense? Anybody have any other questions about that? Okay.
More questions?
John?
John Racine?
Chris, this truck almost like two trucks in one.
We couldn't hear that. Could you say that again, John?
The question from John Racine was, is this like two trucks in one? So it is a Quinn. It has a pump and a ladder. So it means that, so ISO, the Insurance Services Bureau, has a standard for fire protection in every town. Insurance companies subscribe to ISO to get the information on how the fire protection in town is. We are ranked very high for a community our size because of our infrastructure. Our hydrants are what gets us a lot of points, along with our pump capacity. So all of our fire trucks have to have a certain amount of pumping capacity in order to hit the standard. So the ladder truck does have a pump in it to bring us up to that standard. So it can pump water, it can fight fire from the ground as a regular engine can, but it's also got the ladder capabilities. So there are some ladder trucks or tower trucks that just have a ladder that go up and
Can't put any hose on it.
right, and you can't. That's pretty much all they do. It's just a portable ladder. But this does all of it. And we need that pump capacity to make our ISO.
Bill?
Bill Larson?
Yes, I have a question. How many firefighters are required to operate this truck?
Well, that's a good question. The question from Bill Larson was, how many firefighters does it take to operate this truck? So our old truck, it took 3. This truck, it takes 2 because of safety features that are built in. It's got basically an electronic fence around it, so you can't crash the ladder into it. The other one, you needed a spotter for, but the short answer is it takes 2 people to operate the truck.
More questions? Brenda?
From Mark's comment, it sounded like, my question is, what happens if we vote this down? Then we revert to the lease version?
Then we could vote on that. Otherwise, we'll table
I'll step aside
the
for this
lease
question.
article. Yeah.
So the question was, if you vote this article down, what happens? Article 12 is purposely in the warrant so that if this is voted down, you can consider whether or not you want to continue with the lease. That's why Article 12 is there. So
This
they are,
article asks us to buy it.
That's right.
Article 12 asks us to lease it.
to
So
continue the lease.
if we decide not to buy it, then we could consider to lease it. So,
Okay, is that clear to, I'm looking out at the crowd and people are a little confused.
please don't be afraid to ask questions.
Ask questions.
This is the deliberative session, it's what you're here for.
Right behind you. Hold
Mike Fargo.
on. After.
So in Article 12, just to give clarity, that's the lease option. Is that the 11-year lease? And
Correct.
after that period, we would own the truck?
That's correct.
To clarify,
Hold on.
Chris Beerbright.
to clarify, it's the same truck, right?
It's the same truck, just 2 different ways to purchase it. This way, we use a 25-year bond, we borrow the money for 25 years. In Article 12, we continue with the year-to-year lease, and every year town meeting has the option of continuing with the lease. And at the end of the 11 years for the lease, we own it, and at the end of the 25 years for the bond, we own it.
Mark, would this be a good time to talk about the debt service on page 57?
Yeah, we own it, yes, but we'd be paying for it. Right. For the 25 years. Sorry, yes. I'm sorry,
I want
what?
to talk about the debt service on page 57. Would this be a good time to talk about it? It covers the 3 bonds.
Well, yeah, I mean, the information in your town report, including on page 57, where we talk about the debt by department and all of that, assumes that the town meeting approves Articles 9, 10, and 11. If town meeting approves them, then that's the amount of debt that we will carry into 2020. You got a couple more questions.
More questions. Bill Larson first and then Mike Berger.
I have a comment, not a question.
Okay. Could you stand, please, Bill?
I personally believe that Article 12 is a much better option than Article 9. Now, why? Instead of buying the truck, I think the town is in a position where it's going to have to expend a substantial amount of money in the future that's not forecasted by anyone yet to get this resort in town back up to the standard it needs to be at. I think delaying the truck or allowing the lease to go forward just gives us a lot more flexibility to decide how to use what is going to become, in my opinion, a very limited amount of capital. And I don't think we should be taking on 25-year debt for this truck.
Thank you.
And this may be covered, but I was missing it. What's the cost savings for the lease option of 12 versus the one that we have right now?
It's about it's $168,000 over the 25 years, which equates to 50 cents on the tax rate over the 25 years. So about 2 cents per year at our current valuation.
If the truck breaks down during a lease, do we get rid of it? Or if the truck breaks down during a purchase, we're stuck with it. Maybe you could help me understand what's the difference between lease and ownership.
Yeah, if the truck breaks and we try to give it back, we'll probably have to fix it before we give it back. So the maintenance would be the same in both.
And the warranties are the same in both cases.
Yes, that's another important thing to know is the warranties are the same in the lease scenario and the bond scenario.
I think we're done. We've completed the questions. I think we'll bring it to a vote. Now, I want to refer you to your little voting slip that says Article 9. Would you, at this time, please mark your vote? We're voting for Article 9 to purchase the fire truck, the ladder truck. Yes or no? And as soon as you mark your ballots, you can walk it up and put it in the ballot box marked Article 9.
Yeah, you got something.
Paper on 9. Why are we doing paper on 12?
Wait.
We're doing paper on 9.
The difference between a bond and a lease.
Right, but won't 12 and then yeah, I don't want it.
One is a bond and one is a lease.
I understand that. Okay. Yeah, I was just concerned that we were doing something different for two similar. But it's solving the same problem.
So you have to do it. I get it.
That's why I wanted to get the public.
Yeah. And then I would have had a hose and one of those brick bailing pumps over here.
You guys are cruel.
Use the alternative.
That's
Have
right.
you ever moderator?
I'm surprised that you asked the alternative. What happens if they... Yeah, I didn't want to
I was
go
waiting.
No, I didn't want to eat it. Yeah.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for that. So, share them up there. No.
Did she really? Are you shit?
No.
I can't hand these in and get new ones? No, I'll go up there and get them.
More insanity than the last it's a power.
Yeah,
Those of us who've had power, learn to manage it after a while. But I have the power. Yeah, they don't keep that number.
No.
I used to be a town clerk. And even from West Virginia, the other lady spoke to like, said, yes. Just might not give it to me. All right. You want a wet one to throw it out?
You know who you vote. What's your vote say?
Yeah, I thought that's how we were going to do it. Oops. Just coffee. It takes forever to get the people back together. Yeah. All right. It takes forever to get. All right. Fair enough. I can't help it. New guy. You know how it is. New guy. No, because she since I was like 4.
We have to wait for an hour by law. All issues on the warrant, on town warrant that are bonds have to do by law. Have the ballot box open for 1 hour. So while the time is going by, I am going to move to Article 10, another bond issue. Do I hear a motion for Article 10?
That is me, yes. I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $250,000 for the purchase of a solid waste trash truck and to authorize the issuance of not more than $250,000 of bonds or notes in accordance with the provisions of the Municipal Finance Act, RSA 33, and to authorize the selectmen to issue and negotiate such bonds or notes and to determine the rate of interest thereon.
May I have a second?
I second.
So the selectmen unanimously recommend approval of this article. Remember, this is another bond article, so it takes a 2/3 majority vote to pass it. Jim, maybe you will do a presentation and explain this for us.
It's on. Uh-oh. Use the other one. Use the other one. Test 1, 2. See, when I use it, it's okay. No, he did.
Any better?
Yes, it is working. Yes. Just hold it close to your mouth, just like this.
Just like this.
Just like this. There you go.
Well, welcome everybody. It's good to see a good turnout once again at town meeting. I'm sure most everybody in the room is probably aware of the trash debacle of 2019 during the holiday weeks. Unfortunately, our trash truck went down and we were unable to make pickups in a timely fashion. We were able to procure a lease truck locally, and luckily we were able to get it here. However, we were already behind, and that truck happened to be just half the capacity of our truck. So we were even further behind. That coupled with 12 inches of snow, 2 inches of rain, sub-zero temperatures, etc., we got behind. But anyways, it all goes to the reliability of the present truck that we have. Let's see if I can get this thing to work. All right, so what we have is a model year 2006 Packer rear load truck. And it was delivered and put in service to the town of Waterville in April of 2007. At that time, the life expectancy of the truck was 8 years. In 2014, it was decided that, the truck's not doing too bad. Let's put a little money into it. Let's fix the things that are wrong with it. Nothing mechanically as far as the chassis and engine went, but the Packer body was pretty well worn out. So we replaced a lot of pieces, parts on that, and then we had the whole truck treated for rust and repainted. And that brought us a few more years. And but right now we're currently entering our 12th year, and mechanically we are having some major issues. The truck started breaking down about the 1st of December and became unreliable through Christmas and New Year's. So we scrambled around, and like I said, we got that other truck, and we were able to keep picking up, albeit we were behind.
It's been fixed now. Sorry that, yeah.
So what we were doing during that time was we were looking into our options. Now obviously we can either repair the current truck and not have much reliability because we don't know what is going to keep happening with it. Or we could purchase a used truck, or we could go ahead and purchase a new truck. Now, we have looked into this, we've done our due diligence, and it appears as though there aren't many used trucks out there that are in any better condition than ours, so there's a question of reliability. So what we decided to do is purchase a new truck. However, they're not off the shelves. You can't go down to Irwin's and Laconia and pick one up. So they have to match. You have to buy the chassis, and then they have to go to the company to build the body to go on the back end of it. So it's quite a lengthy process. Short end of it is it'd be about 180 days to 240 days before you see the truck. That's just the way supply is working in America today. We were lucky enough to hook up with a company and found a chassis that is the same as the one that we have now. It's a brand new truck, and we will be able to put a body on it if you go ahead and say we can have a new truck. So it all goes to the reliability of the one that we have. So those are our options. So bottom line is $250,000. We're going to bond it for 8 years, which hopefully that is the life expectancy of the truck. And then at least at the end of 8 years, we get good use out of it, then it's worth something at the end, unlike the situation that we're in now, where it's not worth a whole heck of a lot. So I guess what the cost of the bond will be 4% during that time.
Yes, and that's an estimate right now from the bond bank. The exact terms will be at the time that the bond is actually sold. So the 4% is not guaranteed. It'll be whatever the market is at on that day.
And having said that, I'll entertain any questions you
Thank
have.
you, Jim. So we'll take questions from the floor. Bill Larson.
Yes.
Stand, please.
What are the plans on,
Bill, could you stand up?
what are the plans to reinstitute recycling, even in a limited form?
We'll talk about that during the operating budget, Bill. We want to concentrate in this warrant article on the truck itself, because we will.
I have a follow-up question. How do you know this is the right truck if you haven't decided what you need to do with recycling?
The truck is always going to carry some trash. No matter how much we recycle, there will be trash that we will need to transport. And right now we're transporting either to Bethlehem, that's our main place to take it, right? Or there is a transfer station in Belmont, but that's more expensive because it's not an actual landfill, it's only a transfer station. So as long as we can continue to use the Bethlehem landfill, our trash will always go there. This truck is sized to do highway driving and to drive on mountainous terrain. It is a very heavy-duty truck. That's why it's so expensive. We looked at smaller trucks, but we had 4 different truck dealerships talk to us, and they told us that the trucks we were looking at were not powerful enough, they were not enough horsepower to do the trip up to Bethlehem, especially. So for this terrain, this is the right truck. And we are going to have some trash that we are going to be taking somewhere for the foreseeable future, and definitely for the next 8 years. So that's the long answer, Bill, of why we need to look at this truck.
If I might add too, that it's a matter of capacity for this town.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because it's a 3-hour round trip to the landfill. And it takes, this particular truck, we can pick up between 25 and 27 full dumpsters and put it on there before we have to take it to the landfill when it's full. Lighter duty trucks only get half of that amount. So it's just a matter of capacity and volume.
And that was part of the reason, like Jim was saying, during the high volume periods, the holiday weeks, Christmas week, etc., when we had this smaller truck that we were using temporarily, we couldn't get as much trash on it, so we had to make more trips up to Bethlehem. Well, that takes time, and it means that we're emptying the dumpsters, less than we normally would. So.
There's a question in the back, the gentleman in the back.
You said the chassis and the motor are pretty good. 140,000 miles on a diesel engine is nothing. What much buying the body for the chassis?
We looked at that. Again, you're going to be spending on the order of $100,000 for just the body. And to put that on a used truck, there again it goes to the question of reliability. We go ahead and do that, and we spend $100,000 on a brand new body that works just great, but the truck doesn't work. So it's reliability.
You have motor problems with your truck?
Yes.
We have had, it's been mostly belts, brakes, radiator, and just to get a radiator for that truck it took, because it's an older truck. We finally found one, and it took 6 weeks to get the radiator, just to replace the radiator. Parts and pieces are hard to find.
Joe Jacobs, how long is it going to take to get this truck on the road here?
If we go ahead and confirm the order tomorrow, the estimated time to get the truck to the factory to have the body put on, to have the body made and put on, is on the order of 90 to 100 days.
The other thing is, we talk about recycling here. And if we're going to do a good job of recycling, number one, it's going to be made easier. Number two, as long as we're renting property without recycling, it's going to work. Renters don't run down to the recycling center and throw stuff in. They throw everything into the dumpster and off they go. We all know that. So I think it's up to the town either to make it easier to recycle, maybe have two things in the same place at every unit. Forget about recycling. You tell me.
Well, what I can tell you is that we generate on the order of 900 tons of solid waste per year. And we average probably since we instituted single stream recycling, which is, by the way, the easiest way to recycle. Since we instituted that, we are averaging about 17.5% recycle.
I just wanted to add that we have spent a ton of time and money trying to keep this truck going. We put this truck in a position because we were paying what could be considered an exorbitant fee to have a rental truck here to do half the capacity that we could do. And as they've discovered, beyond, John, your question about the truck, the hydraulics are also shot where we can't compress as much as we can, so we can't get nearly the capacity into it. But one of the things that we've done before we authorized the money, the $6,000 for the radiator and the other work that needs to be done, is we did an assessment to be sure we have a resale value in this truck. So if we can keep this truck alive until the new one gets here, we have a potential to get between $20,000 and $40,000 through a broker for it. So we've experimented and we've looked at the other reason we're looking at this similar truck to go with it, to answer your question, Bill, is we have all of these dumpsters, and this truck is compatible to the dumpsters where new series trucks and different series trucks are a different hauling mechanism. And we would have to make a full commitment to go to this other style of truck, which includes replacing how many dumpsters, Mark?
77.
77 dumpsters, which is a huge cost. We are presently not recycling because no one is buying single stream recycling. We are constantly looking. We're working with consultants to come in to help us find an alternative. We've gone to the other towns around to see if we could piggyback with them. They're in the same shape we are, and their situation is more dire because they're putting more recyclables into their trash and it's costing them more money. One of the things that will come up a little bit later is we are over budget on our solid waste, and our projections for this year are going to have to be changed due to the rental of the truck and our inability to find someone to take our recyclables where we've had to pay solid waste fees to get them removed. So it wasn't taken under very lightly to go, oh, let's get a new truck. This truck broke down, was it 4 times in 3 days or 3 times in 4 days?
Yes.
And you also need to remember that the guys who are driving this truck and packing this truck are also the guys that are driving the plows and the sanders and the sidewalk thing. So we're doing our best with this, so we would appreciate it if you looked into this and saw the necessity to get this truck and get it ordered as soon as possible.
Are there any more questions from the floor? There's one
Oh,
in the back.
yeah, one in the back.
Hi, Amanda Roswell. I do believe that Mark, you said something when you spoke of trash the other day, that once this truck is used for solid waste, it cannot be used for recyclables. So is that correct?
Yeah, when we set up, I guess it relates to the truck if you're all right. Okay, so when we set up our single stream recycling program a few years ago, we were using the same truck. So on, say, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we would pick up trash. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we go up and empty it at Bethlehem. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we would use that same truck and put recyclables, single stream recyclables in it, and take it up to Bethlehem. And there was another place to dump the recyclables, okay? Well, that was at a time when the recyclables could have contamination in it, right? So a trash truck that you throw trash in is dirty. Now, the recyclable
contamination level that's allowed is much, much lower, 0.1%. Okay? So we are not, it's one of the problems that we're going to have to look at with recyclables is we're not going to be able to use this particular truck for both trash and recycling. We're going to have to find a totally different way to do recycling. And but again, if we're only recycling 17 to 20%, we still have 650, 700 tons per year of trash that we have to take to Bethlehem. So, we do need this truck, at least in the interim. And we're, like Mike said, we're going to talk to consultants through 2019 that to give us some other options with recycling. We understand that it's something that the community wants to do, and we'll come up with some options and see what how folks want us to proceed.
I think that's it for questions. So what I'm going to have you do this time, so we can move the meeting along, we're going to be voting on the yellow slip, which is Article 10, the trash truck. And please mark your ballot, but stay in your seat. We'll go through Article 11, which is the last bond issue, and then we'll get up on it. Good job. You'll both of the bonds at that time. So please mark your yellow ballot for Article 10, yes or no. We're going to move on to Article 11. Do I hear a motion?
Yes, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $150,000 for maintenance, improvements, and the purchase of new directional signs for town-maintained walking and biking trails, and to authorize the issuance of not more than $150,000 of bonds or notes in accordance with the provisions of the Municipal Finance Act, RSA 33, and to authorize the selectmen to issue and negotiate such bonds or notes and to determine the rate of interest thereon.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. The selectmen unanimously recommend approval of this article as well, and as it's a bond article, it requires a 2/3 majority vote to pass. I'd like to recognize Mark first for an update on the sign project.
At town meeting last year, town meeting appropriated $250,000 to put up the new entrance sign and to do paving on the hill between Triple I Road and Tecumseh Road. We started that project, as many of you saw maybe on Memorial Day. We were out in Town Square with all these different options for the sign, went through that process, and actually got the sign built, and I think it looks pretty good. So I hope you all do too. But when it came to the road work, that's a very short section of road between Triple I and Tecumseh Road. So the bids that we received to do the repaving of that road we couldn't afford it. They were over budget. So the selectmen decided to just do the groundwork, the base work for the sign, put in the drainage structures that we had planned for, and construct the sign. We did that. We still have paving money left from that project. It's about $125,000 that's remaining. And we are looking in 2019, we'll be working with an engineer to actually do all of the engineer planning from Triple I Road up to Tecumseh, down Tecumseh, and around Snows Brook Road down to Village Road. Okay, so we hope that in 2020 we will have a budget number to bring back to you to do a larger paving project, and hopefully we won't have to pay the premium.
So that money is remaining. We have 3 years to use it, so we're not in any issue with that. This project tonight is for $150,000. The Town Core Working Group, who are the folks who did all the work on the sign, have also put together this concept for the trail work that Nancy Knight, who is a member of our Town Core Working Group, is going to talk to you about. So I think we have a lot of the members. Wendy Rathgaber, she couldn't make it? Oh yeah, that's right. Tom Gross is back there. He is a member of the group. Matt Hesser is a representative for the resort because we want to coordinate with what they're doing on the trail systems and those things. And also Mike Aronson is the selectman's representative to the group. Did I miss anybody? Nancy Knight? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to Nancy, and she's going to talk to you about the project for this evening. Oh, I'm sorry. Dan Newton is also on, and he's here tonight too. I know he's there. He is. All right.
All right, Mark went over the overall study that we started with and phase 1. So this is a presentation of phase 2.
There.
Which we're calling the Town Center Trail Wayfinding. And it covers signage, lighting, and grading at the Town Core. Our goal is to encourage pedestrianization by getting folks to know how to use the paths and trails to get places, and making them easier and safer to use, while simultaneously extending our town's branding throughout the experience. So this is a conceptual drawing of what we're talking about overall, and this is the trails that we're talking about, what it might look like. That's an idea. And what we're looking at, if you can see, is so the trail goes primarily around from the beach to Snowbrook Road.
I need the caffeine and chocolate.
Our goal is to improve the existing paths so they're identifiable, usable, accessible. The sign is going to link Town Square out. So we'd be linking Town Square with the trail system and with our walking path network. The lighting will increase safety and resilience and will run along the trails. So this is a closer view of Town Square, concept drawing, not necessarily what we're going to do, but it's an idea. And the idea is to organize the pedestrianization, including ADA access, with tools such as bollards, lighting, and signage. We also plan on being cognizant of the relationship between commercial and recreational interests within the town core. So again, this concept, ideas about what the trails might look like. We do know that our goal is for them to be natural, to fit in with the existing trails, and to not be paved. These are concept ideas about lighting. What's important is we're considering human height lighting and bollards. We also need to consider snow height and removal, groomers, dark sky regulations, and how the lighting fits in with the look and feel of our new signage and branding. So these are concept drawings of our destinational directional signage, which we plan to continue the town's brand they'll continue the look of the intramural sign. I think I went too far.
They may be out of order. Keep going.
That's out of order.
Yeah, that's okay. Keep going. There we go. I don't know where it went. Missing one.
Where's the informational kiosk?
Missed it. I don't know. It might.
That's the best drawing.
I know. Sorry. The idea with the signs is that they all tie back into that entrance sign. So we're using the same brown and green. We're using the metal. We're using the little icons that you can see them on some of these signs. And the idea is to eventually get all of our signage to match that look and feel. So we're going to work as part of this project with a consultant sign designer who will give us a family of signs that we can then take to different sign makers and have that same look whenever we install a new sign. So that's really what we're trying to get across with these pictures.
We did the trail signs, and we also have an informational kiosk that was beautiful.
Yeah. Trust us,
Okay,
it's beautiful.
so the benefits. The overall idea is that we want to make the most of our beautiful town's assets. So we feel like this is really living our town brand as an outdoor recreational resort. It's extending the look and feel of our signage and branding, separating pedestrian and bicycle movement in town square for safety, separating pedestrian, easing pedestrian and bicycle movement from town center to destinations, and then encouraging engagement with our waterfront, and improving and encouraging connections to and from Smoky Brook, which is beautiful, as well as protecting our dark skies, which are famous for star viewing while maintaining safety and creating an inviting ambiance, which will encourage vitality in the evening hours. Okay, this project is actually a partnership between the town and resort. And in fact, the town court committee is also, they're one of the key members. The resort will provide grading equipment and manpower systems to run that equipment. They will work with the town on a cohesive nomenclature for the trails as we move out. I know we have at least one trail or two trails with the same name. And they will educate bicyclists to ride on the outside of the new bollard for safety. The timeline. Our first step is to fund this project by asking for your yes vote today. And then our next step is to engage engineering, finalize the plans. Chances are we'll have A, B, and C, like before, and then seek public input, like Mark said, like before, getting feedback from the public before going before the select board for approval. And we hope to start this project this summer.
Is that it, Nancy?
That's it.
Thank you. Does the panel have anything else to say? Otherwise, I'll open it to the floor. We'll take questions at this time. One in the back of the room.
Claire Hoffman, I'm just wondering whether or not there were any grants pursued, because there are thousands of grants, which is very difficult to obtain them unless you have a professional grant writer.
We have done that.
Yes, we've tried.
Can you use the mic?
Yes, we have tried to get grants for our pedestrian and bicycle improvement projects. We have done that twice, and we have not been successful. And that did include a professional grant writer helping us with one of those submissions. There are other grant programs that, because this is specifically trails in the center of town, there may be grants that we have not applied for before that we might be able to get for this project. But we were not able to get that approval prior to town meeting. So we can't tell you with any certainty that we can use grant money on this project. We may be able to, and we will be applying for more, but it's really an iffy thing for us as a community.
So when you have a professional grant writer,
Yes.
was it local or was it someone who's nationally connected?
It was a person who had been successful in the same types of grants in other states down in the South. So she did have experience in the grants that we were applying for. Yeah. Sandy had a question all the way back there.
Barry Fish in the back of the room.
And you got Sandy.
This was phase 2. What are the other phases, and what would be the cost associated with those other phases, unless this is
This is the second part. Next year in the capital improvements program that the planning board has put together is another $150,000 project, which will be phase 3, and it will continue the improvements of the trail out. So we're starting with the town core, starting around the pond, and we're moving out along the trails towards the national forest. So the exact trails that will be done they're not identified yet, but phase 3 is the final phase of this particular trails improvement, and that is $150,000 next year. You got Sandy.
Tom, and this. Say your name, please, Tom, for everybody.
Tom, so the trails haven't been designed yet, so the width of the trails and all that will be done as designed as part of this process?
That's correct. When we engage the engineer, when she showed that slide, so we will start. We're going to use existing trails as much as possible because we already have some beautiful trails around here. So we will use those and improve existing trails as a first priority, and then move on to building anything new.
Okay, there'll be public meetings related to that, so
yes.
we can take a look at that.
Yeah, as I mentioned, like the Memorial Day thing, so what's going to happen if you approve this, the Town Core Working Group will work with an engineer, designer, architect person, and they will come up with options, and then our plan, what we have talked about so far, is to get out into the public with those multiple options and take your input. Sandy is all the way back.
Sandy Larson.
I'm not for or against it, but it's hard for me to vote on this, only because our brand here is nature. And how many ballards, how many lights, how many signs, kind of start sounding like suburbia.
Well, one of the feedback we got, Sandy, in the surveys that we did when we did that study a few years ago, was that people do not feel safe at night walking on our downtown trails. So one of the things that and anybody from the Town Core Working Group, correct me if I say anything you don't agree with. One of the things that we are looking at is putting in enough lighting so that people feel safe, so that they will use the trails, but not over-light the area. So we're going to have to find that balance. I really think in this phase that there aren't going to be very many lights at all. They're probably going to be just around the pond, a few lights. But we are going to put the conduit in as we reconstruct the trails, so that in future years we can go back and put in lighting if we want to. We don't want to put in all these nice trails and then go back and dig them all up in a couple of years. So,
Yeah.
Well, yes, we just,
I'm voting for the money, but what
You're-
about the actual?
That's what we just talked about. We are going to have input.
we're going to have public input, and the selectmen have to approve anything before it actually gets built. So you can provide them with input. It's going to be just like last Memorial Day when we had all those signs up in Town Square. And you guys can come in and tell us what you think.
Joe Jacobs?
Are you planning to do anything with the backside of the main sign that's coming into town?
That's been brought up several times, and once we get to the spring and we can do something, that'll be a selectmen's meeting agenda item.
Did you budget for doing anything of that?
We have enough, yes, we have enough money to be able to do that.
Mike Fergal?
Mike Fergal, on a bond like this, what's the term that you're looking at?
Probably 10 years. We'll have to see what the interest rates are. I mean, this is infrastructure that's going to be there potentially for decades, so probably around 10 years due to the amount of it. 10 years is what's in the capital program for funding. Yeah, Bertie.
You want to stand, please?
Will you be using solar or trying to be using solar as you move forward?
We'll look at any options. Yeah.
Bill Larson?
Yeah. I just want to comment that I happen to live off of Greeley Path, which was upgraded as a result of the water line project that went through. And the trail is magnificent. It really is such an improvement over what was there before. It's like night and day, and I would heartily recommend that we spend whatever to make all of our trails first class, because I think people would really appreciate that when they come. Yep.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
Have we exhausted the questions?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody needs a little exercise at this point.
Yeah.
So please mark Article 11. Take
Thank
10 and 11 up now. Articles 10 and Article 11. Deposit them in the appropriate ballot boxes and come back to your seats.
I think so. Yeah, I think she's going to skip us. Yeah. 20
Could people please return to their seats?
Can we do speed? Only 20 more to go. We've got an hour plus.
Oh, would you put it on Could everybody please do the electric slide back to their chairs?
We've got 20 more. Tell them we got 20 more to go.
We have 20 more articles to go.
Sit down.
Think about that.
20.
Get some pillows, blankets. So when the hour has elapsed, our timer has started the clocks for the 3 bond issues. Obviously, 3 slightly different times. We'll be able to report the results of the ladder truck at 7 p.m. The hour will have elapsed for Article 9. I want to move on now. I'd like to entertain a motion.
I move that we skip to Articles 26 through 29 and then return to Article 12.
Okay. So I will allow the motion to move to Articles 26 through 29 next, if there's no objections from the residents. Can you please let me know that that's okay? Oh, sorry. Second. Thanks. Okay. So we're going to take the articles out of order, which is not an unusual thing. But since you all have the warrant in front of you, we're now going to skip ahead while we're waiting the clock to tick on the bond articles. We're going to skip ahead to Article 26, which is on 28.
No, this is there.
Oh, Article 26.
It has to be moved, Brenda.
Keep it close.
Wait a minute, Brenda.
No,
We got to move it.
What?
Mike.
I have to move 26?
Yes.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion on Article 26?
I guess you will in a second.
22, page 22.
I need the sneakers.
I move that the town vote to answer the question, are you in favor of increasing the Board of Selectmen to 5 members? Is there a second?
I second. Thank you. The vote can take any form. It's a simple majority that's needed or required for approval here. The selectmen are not in favor of this petitioned article, but now I'd like you to hear a presentation from Brenda Conklin.
Brenda Conklin to Council 1, speaking in favor of Article 26.
We can't hear you in the microphone. Do you want to come to the podium?
Use this one.
Yeah, sure. Brenda, use this one.
Brenda Conklin to Council 1, speaking in favor of Article 26. Why 5? There would be a broader range of expertise. 2 additional opinions would enhance discussion. More people means more visibility in the community to attend functions, meetings, and to circulate, which would lead to better communication with townspeople. The work would be distributed over 5 people instead of 3, making it easier and more sociable. Quorum would be 3 people in attendance, an odd number being better for voting. There would be less pressure if a member cannot attend a meeting. What happens if no one puts their name on the ballot, or a write-in candidate refuses to serve, or someone resigns? As with any vacancy on our boards or committees, the current members would appoint someone to fill the spot. Nearby towns with 5 selectmen are Ashland, Hampton, Holderness, Plymouth, and Thornton. Waterville's planning board has 6 members plus alternates. Our zoning board has 5 members plus alternates. Our conservation commission has 5 members plus alternates. Even the resort association and our town core committee and the historical society have more than 5 board members. Why not our select board with their responsibility for our buildings, equipment, staff, and millions of dollars? Waterville's population is growing. As reported in the Town Clerk's annual report, our population grew from 427 in 2015 to 478 in 2018. That's our population, not registered voters. We have 350 who are registered voters. People serve in public office for any number of good reasons. Civic pride, to give back to their community, to work for the greater good, for the ego boost of being important, and to share their knowledge gained from education, experience, and careers. Ultimately, it's about having fun and the rewards of working with like-minded, dedicated people who share our love for Waterville Valley. For those who say it's not broken, this is for you, Randy. For those who say it's not broken, don't fix it. My answer is, there's always room for improvement. For those who think that no one will volunteer, my answer is, if people are not asked to serve and are not aware of opportunities to serve, they are unlikely to step forward on their own. We need more forceful and widespread announcement of community job openings, maybe in the tax bill. 3 selectmen asking their circle of acquaintances to serve is too narrow. That's another reason to have 5 selectmen, to spread the word about openings to a broader group of council.
Thank you, Brenda. So we'll entertain questions from the floor if there are any. Seeing none, we're going to move to vote on the question, are you in favor of increasing the Board of Select Persons to 5 members? Now this is going to be by secret ballot or private ballot on a piece of paper. So you get to exercise and stretch and take your voter card, your bright fluorescent, I don't know what color to call it, red, down to the table, and they'll give you a ballot to mark off and drop in the ballot box marked Article 26.
What's the next one?
I don't know what to put up.
Thank God we're getting over that.
cocktails in here. Please return to your seats.
Yeah, we never get rid of everybody.
Or get through everything.
No, I don't know, but well, the sign one.
Yeah.
Question for my supervisors and ballot clerks down there in the corner. How long will it take to count the secret ballots for this Article 26? 15 minutes? Okay, so I'm going to move on to 27 and we'll get back to the results. Oh, okay. So we have hit the 1 hour mark for the first bond article regarding the purchase of the ladder truck, Article 9, which I'm sure everybody's curious about. I'm holding the results here. Remember, it needs to be a two-thirds result, two-thirds vote to pass it. And it passed narrowly 62 to 30. That's the ladder truck purchase, Article 9. So now we're going to move on to Article 27. I know you're all studiously following along in your warrant. Do I hear a motion?
62 to 30.
I move that the town vote to answer the following question. Do you approve of having 2 sessions for the annual town meeting in Waterville Valley? The first session for choice of town officers elected by an official ballot, and the other action required to be inserted on said official ballot, and the second session on a date set by the selectmen for transaction of other business.
This is called the bifurcated town meeting. And it's the preferred recommendation of the New Hampshire Municipal Association that supports us, I will say. I did read that in our handbook. So this would mean that we would still have the official balloting session here during the prescribed day, second Tuesday in March. And we would have the town meeting, instead of being Tuesday night following the official ballot session, we would have it on Saturday and would let the selectmen decide what, maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something. But it would be on Saturday. And that's very typical. It's called the bifurcated town meeting, because actually both pieces are considered part of the town meeting. So that's what the article is asking for.
I need a second.
Go ahead, Rich, read it.
I second it.
Thank you. Presentation, Brenda Conklin will expound on this article.
Brenda Conklin to Council 1, speaking in favor of Article 27. The town meeting handbook suggests best practices, as Marilyn just alluded to. And on page 68 in the book, it says, holding a deliberative session on a weekday after people have come home from work may cause meetings to be more contentious and less productive. Too many times when the evening deliberative session runs late, a second recess meeting must be scheduled and held. Also, many people may not arrive in time to be checked in as voters, delaying the start of the meeting and further exacerbating the time crunch, which is compounded by people feeling less than relaxed and distracted. Okay, Saturday deliberative sessions are often more relaxed and less likely to be recessed for another day. That's the official order. Holding the deliberative session on a day separate from election day would be a great service for our vote counters. Right now, they have to close the polls, count the ballots, and immediately set up for the annual meeting in the space of half an hour. If this article passes, they could count the ballots quietly, without rushing, and without being distracted by people arriving for the Tuesday night meeting. Our non-resident property owners pay 83% of our taxes, yet cannot vote and are not here midweek. Inviting them to attend a Saturday meeting would be a gesture toward acknowledging their significant contribution to our town spending. Since Waterville is primarily a community of retired people, most of our residents would be able to attend either a Tuesday night or a Saturday meeting. The choice of Saturday enables additional attendance while not inconveniencing the majority. Other nearby towns that hold their deliberative session on the Saturday after Tuesday elections are Ashland, Thornton, and Wentworth.
This is fairly typical. I know we resist change, but so I'll entertain questions from the floor, if anyone has them. Cindy Larson.
Yes. As far as county ballot, how many people vote? How many people vote? Do you know how many people voted today?
Yes, I do.
130. What? 130. I don't think that's really hard to count.
Yeah, direct, to the point.
Mike Capel.
I'm okay with that.
I have a question. 130 voted in ballots. Not you. 100 voted, 130 voted there, and 92 voted here.
More or less.
Yeah.
More or less. Okay.
More or less. That's what you counted.
Yeah.
You counted 92 votes. So how many people voted? Did you throw votes out?
The gentleman
Only if it goes our way.
That's usually.
Come on.
Had anybody thought of keeping it as a one day, but doing it on a Saturday instead of a Tuesday? Instead of everything on a Saturday, you can vote.
You have to do Tuesday.
Tuesday for the voting, right?
I think the statutes prescribe the official balloting session to still take place on Tuesday, unless we go to a SB2 town, which we're not.
I don't know.
Katie.
Katie Smith. If we did that, would we extend voting hours so the residents that can't come between 12 and 5 would be able to vote?
Certainly something that's likely
We
to
can look
take
at
up.
it.
Yeah. Cindy Powell.
Just have a consideration of that this is a resort town, so whenever you have the town meeting, many of us that aren't retired, that are working at the mountain, wouldn't be able to leave. 4 o'clock.
I'd like to just make a comment that historically, this Board of Selectmen has had meetings on Thanksgiving weeks, 4th of July weeks, Christmas vacation weeks, for property owners to come and see how we operate our government, see and contribute. And the response has been severely underwhelming. So that's just something to think about. We've tried it, and it hasn't been taken advantage of in the past.
Is there anybody new before we go back to the same people that have more questions? Okay. Who's behind you? Lowly Hammond.
Lowly Hammond.
I don't think we can compare ourselves to the other towns or anything because we are not like we're Ashland.
Yeah.
You're a resort town. And people that come here on the weekends don't want to fill another meeting. They want to recreate and be with their families. So I think we should do it just the way it works.
Thank you. Mike Capel.
Mike Capel, I noticed that the Board of Select persons, you haven't indicated any preference here. So I'm assuming you don't have one.
No, they do, but they decided to abstain from making that public because they wanted the residents to make this decision.
That's interesting.
Which is their
No,
prerogative.
I don't think that's I think we discussed that we had no opinion on this. You know, it wasn't that we made a vote and wanted to keep it secret. We just said whatever works.
So it's up to you. Out there. Katie?
Does it have to be the Saturday following the Tuesday election?
No, it does not have
Saturday
to.
in April when the resort's closed, and then the resort
Forever.
and maybe people aren't recreating.
Well,
That could cause some real issues
Do you know
with
the answer to that
bonds and funding
Yeah,
and other stuff.
it has to be relatively close to this, to tonight, because we have deadlines of reports that we have to file with the state by the end of the month. So I wouldn't want it to go more than the next Saturday. So either the Saturday immediately following or the next one would be the latest that we would want to do it. Otherwise, we're going to have to ask the state if we can do a later submission. It's just going to really be complicated.
think Jean had it.
Jean Mullen.
But when somebody gets up to speak, none of us can hear it. Could you repeat the gist of it so we know what
Be happy to.
you're saying?
Yeah. Where's the mic? It's in the microphone. Mike Fergal.
Mike Fergal, I have one more comment. Parking here tonight was difficult. If we end up doubling the number of people here, we'd have to somehow get busing or something to get into this building.
So did you hear that comment, Gene? So the comment was regarding parking and that it was difficult tonight, and if we increase the number of people attending town meeting, we'd have to make other transportation arrangements.
Yeah, but that's minimal. If we have people that want to show up, we're
No,
going to
I was just summarizing, sorry, not an opinion.
Okay, Chris Beerbreyer. Chris Beerbreyer, 135 Fulton Path. Could you have a mic?
No, I'll scream. So, if we did this, if we chose to go to Saturday and tried it and then found that it wasn't successful or people didn't like it, could we go back? Or is it set in stone Saturday?
You can go back.
You can go back.
You have to take it to town meeting again.
You can go back. You can go back.
By town meeting vote.
It is not forever.
Nothing's really forever. Joe Jacobs.
I sort of think it's kind of nice that we all get together on one day. You know, everybody's here. The school has its nice little soup thing. We're having a little social time. There's not that many people. I think on a Saturday you're gonna get nobody showing up because everybody's out skiing, if they are, or they're not here, or they just don't want to do it on a Saturday. So you know, I think one day to get it all done.
Any people who haven't spoken? Tom Myrick.
Yes, move the question.
Yes. Okay, let's vote on moving the question. All those in favor of moving the question? Okay, so we'll take it to vote. This is going to be paper ballot, so please take your voting card out with you. I don't make the laws.
It was asked. It was asked. Talk to the moderator about it. Okay, Nance, you can't react to people, okay? And you know what? Listen, the other thing is, this is exhausting them. They won't even take 5 minutes. Sharon is the only one that's going to hear that. No, well, do something. It was still recording.
It just went to sleep. This is Article 27, to have the bifurcated town meeting, moving it, having the official balloting on Tuesday and the meeting on Saturday.
So what's yes and what's no?
Oh.
Can I have your attention? Can I have your attention, everybody, please?
The question is, do you approve of having 2 sessions for the annual town meeting in Waterville Valley? The first session for choice of town officers elected by official ballot, and the other action required to be inserted on said official ballot, and the second session on a date set by the selectmen for transaction of other business. So in other words, if you vote yes, you're voting for the bifurcated town meeting.
Yes vote is for 2 sessions. A no vote is to leave it the way it is. That is Jack Sanders. Jack Sanders. Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Well, he was here for 30 years when it was done at town hall.
So I just felt like he was being forgetful.
Yeah, he was, but he was used to going there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's got 4 at the end under Article 31. I mean,
Can
3.
everybody get back to their seats, please?
She's got 3 more.
Not enough.
Excuse me, just 1. This is Rich.
That's Rich's stuff.
Okay, Rich is the one who spilled his coffee all over everything, ruined a whole pack of stickies.
Please return to your seats as soon as you're done voting.
What are we doing now? I don't even know what we're doing anymore. Hey, Mike, can I go home?
Well, I'll tell you.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's Brenda. Yeah.
Yeah, you can move to.
I know. Well, I'm gonna, yeah, but I already said that.
Little sugar
Okay,
high.
we're
Little
almost
sugar high.
done voting on Article 27. So we're going to move on to Article 28. We're going to wait for the ballot clerks and supervisors with the checklist to count the ballot for Article 27 regarding the bifurcated town meeting. While we're waiting for them to count, we're going to move on to Article 28.
Article 28.
Do I hear a motion?
I move that the town vote to approve Selectmen's Ordinance Number 20, solid waste disposal.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
This vote can take any form and a simple majority is required.
Spinning out here.
The selectmen unanimously recommend approval of this article. There is a handout, I believe.
Yes.
Do people have it? The town ordinance number 20, it starts with municipal solid waste, blah, blah, blah. It's a 2-sided single sheet. Please refer to the handout, it will be helpful for this article.
So this is the sheet that you should be looking at. Yours is gray instead of yellow for the highlighted area. That highlighted area is what is being changed, proposed to be changed with this motion. Ordinance number 20 is 1 page. It is just this page. The other 2 pages are the next warrant article. Okay, so we are talking about just this page.
Is there a presentation of this?
The presentation is simply we are proposing for the addition of a definition of what municipal solid waste is. It is, if, as you can see, it's not currently defined in the ordinance, and there is some confusion about demolition debris and tires and other items. So we are defining municipal solid waste. That is the change in this ordinance.
Is there any discussion on this? Shall I give you a minute to read it? Is it highlighted in yellow on theirs?
It's highlighted in gray on
Gray.
yours, and it is bold.
That's the word it's describing.
That's what's being added.
What solid waste, how it's defined.
Oh, Tim.
We have a question in
Tim
the back.
Rose.
Let me take Tim first.
Only by inhabitants and/or guests. Is that what we are?
Our current, no, yes, you would be covered under and/or guest, Tim, if you're not a resident on the resident. Well, the problem, currently if you're technical about the wording, it only says that inhabitants of the town can put trash in a dumpster. Obviously, we have transient guests, we have non-resident property owners that are not inhabitants, technically, of the town, so we added the words and/or guests, without getting into a litany of non-resident property owner, etc. I'm sorry? Inhabitants would be the folks who are on our resident list. They are living here in town.
So is that similar to the cabinet, this sort of resident thing?
No, property owners.
You want, okay, well, however the
That's
selectmen,
property owners would be inhabitants.
fine. Okay, that's part of the problem. Now, with and/or guests, we cover everybody, because whether you consider yourself an inhabitant or a guest, you can put trash in the dumpster.
Bill Larson.
Trying to keep it simple.
I'm assuming the intent of this particular ordinance is to prevent whatever from dumping their trash in the dumpster. Do you anticipate doing anything to catch them?
We're going to put some cameras on the dumpster.
We're putting cameras in, we're going to take some steps. Yep.
So you are going to take some steps
Yeah.
to enforce
Yes.
this ordinance?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
we're
are.
having some-
Go into those, please?
Well, we'll get the ordinance, Mark. Read it. Tell them what the fines are.
Well, there are fines for up to $500 per offense that could be levied. We have talked about putting up cameras. We have talked about speaking with people who come in, who are obviously coming in from out of town with trash and dumping them in our dumpsters. It'll be an enforcement issue that we'll have to talk to public safety about. And signage, we have already talked about putting up new signs that, you cannot put your trash in the dumpsters unless it has been made here.
We're hoping that signage and cameras will be an initial deterrent step to see what happens. But if people continue to abuse it, our problem is people are coming from other places and dumping construction debris in our dumpsters.
Right.
And that's what's been throwing us off. Our proportional use of our municipal solid waste has gone up so dramatically this winter. We're looking for the reasons. And we're seeing it. We're seeing people who are coming up to ski at the mountains, stopping, and dumping their trash in.
So I think there's going to be several steps, Bill, that we're going to have to take.
Are we done with the discussion?
No, Wendy, up back.
Oh, go ahead, Wendy.
Have you thought about giving out resident stickers, so if you're going to have it monitored by camera, and a big problem is people coming back and go again, that would help, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we'll see once
Well,
we get there.
Yeah, if we can do this and make these changes, there are several steps that we can take. Yep.
I move the motion.
Oh, thank you. Good. So we've called the question. We'll take it to a vote. All those in favor? Now this is Article 28 we're talking about. Ordinance number 20, solid waste removal. All in favor? All opposed? Carried. Oh, okay. That was in favor? Yeah. Okay, so it's unanimous. It was a late vote. Thank you for that. We'll move on to 29. Do I hear a motion?
I move that the town vote to approve Selectmen's Ordinance number 21, solid waste container.
You didn't
I'm
vote on
sorry.
it?
Yes, that is out of order, so you can, right, okay. So that would be for calling the questions, we didn't actually vote on that, so. All in favor of calling the question, raise your card, okay? Thank you. Now, all in favor of voting for ordinance number 20, Article 28, raise your card, thank you. Mike, that's called
It
point
passed.
of order, thank you.
Point of order.
I did, but we re-voted, yeah. Moving on to 29, did you read
I did.
the whole thing?
You want to read it again?
No.
Read it again.
Okay, I don't
Not
read
at
it
all. Do we have a second? I second. Okay. This is a simple majority vote. This selectmen unanimously recommend approval of this article. Jim Mayhew has a few things to say.
I got it.
Marcus?
I got it. We're going to save time. So with the proposed changes to this, it's on 2 pages. The changes are to define how you clean out around the dumpster. We've been having some issues about, number one, who is responsible for doing that and what that exactly means for snow and ice removal and those sorts of things. So that is in paragraph 2. That's the majority of those changes here. Up here in paragraph 1, it just says that you have to use the dumpsters and you have to maintain the area around the dumpsters. So the owners of the condo association or the business that has that dumpster there is responsible for the maintenance around the dumpster and keeping it clean so that we can service it. And the final thing is that we want to set up a system where we have a point of contact at every business and at every condo association so that when things are not maintained, we have someone to talk to. We used to have a system where one person was basically doing property management for everybody. It was easy to talk to them, right? But now we have many different entities to talk to. So the other part of this in 3 and 4 is to set up that list of a responsible person at each location so that we can contact them. Yep. Joe.
I have a real question about that.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Jacobs.
If the town is having a problem picking up the rubbish,
Mm-hmm.
and there's stuff around the dumpster, it seems to me that why should we're paying, all of us are paying the quarterly fee, every one of us are paying the quarterly fee for trash. And now we have to pay our property management people more money to pick up around the dumpsters. Something's wrong with that.
Well, it's your people that are putting the stuff around the dumpsters.
What?
It's the people who are putting the stuff around the dumpsters is the problem.
No.
Yes.
The dumpsters are full. There's no room.
That's what we're trying to do, to have a point of contact when your dumpster is full. It says, bring the stuff to the town thing and call your property manager. Your property manager, for years, property managers were maintaining it and cleaning up the stuff around the dumpsters. This is a recent occurrence, Joe.
I know it's a recent occurrence, but it's not the association's fault. It's not the people that are living in there.
It is the association's fault.
No.
It's the association's
Okay.
fault.
So the other part, the other part of this is because of the way we service the dumpsters, we cannot have the town crew responsible if there is a pile of bags outside of the dumpster. They cannot clean up that area and then service the dumpster. We will never get all of the trash picked up. It has to be the responsibility of whoever owns that area where the dumpster is, whether it's a business or whether it's a condo association. You've got to keep clean around the dumpster so that we can get the truck in there and get out. And we have extra dumpsters, more than we've ever had, at the central location. So because every single family homeowner here in town has to bring their trash to the transfer station. So if the condo association dumpster is full, there is really no difference at that point. You're another property owner. You can't put your trash in the dumpster. Bring the trash to the central transfer station. Because that's...
Any more questions from the floor? Anybody else like to speak?
I think it's a real issue. I think if the town, we're all paying taxes, we're all paying extra for trash, and I think if the town has a problem, it's for the town to solve that problem, not for all of us.
The solution is
Okay.
not picking up your trash.
No, that's okay. Yeah. Understood.
So I think we're ready to bring to a vote. We're done with the discussion. So if you're in favor of ordinance number 21, the solid waste container enclosures, this is Article 29, please raise your card now.
It's solid waste.
And is there any opposition? Carries. Okay, now we're going to go backwards, back to Article 12. And the good news is we don't have to deal with Article 12 now because Article 9 passed, so we're not interested in leasing a ladder truck. So I'm going to ask for a motion on Article 12.
I move that we table Article 12.
Just a second.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Can we just vote on tabling Article 12? Every article on the ballot, on the warrant has to be voted by RSAs. Thank you. Opposed? Okay. Move on to Article 13. Do I hear a motion?
That's you. Page 9.
I move that the town vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 4-year lease agreement in the amount of $136,000 for the purpose of leasing a new public works backhoe loader and to raise and appropriate the sum of $34,000 from the December 31st, 2018 fund balance available on January 1, 2019 for the first year's payment for that purpose. This lease agreement contains an escape clause.
May I have a second?
I second.
The selectmen unanimously recommend approval of this article, and this amount is not included in Article 22, which is going to be our municipal operating budget. The vote needs to be a simple majority.
Jim.
Someone's going to speak to this?
Jim?
Jim?
Jim.
Okay, at present, we have a 2001 loader backhoe, which is a very viable piece of equipment for our fleet. It, probably a lot of you don't see it unless it's working, 3 seasons doing ditches and road work around town. Most of the time, it's used to load our sand and salt. It is used to keep the school parking lot clean, and it is also used to keep the campus around Town Hall cleaned out. We do move a lot of material with that, and we actually use it to tamp down the C&D cans so that we can get more tonnage into those. So it has a lot of uses, but at 2001, with approximately 11,000 hours on it at this point in time. This has been on the CIP for a number of years, and it's one of those pieces of equipment, and like the garbage truck, that just keeps getting moved off. So it's about the reliability of that machine is going downhill because it's been down more times than up this winter. So luckily it was between snows. So at any rate, we would love it if you voted in favor for it. Any questions?
How much to buy it?
To buy it would be about $128,000.
Why would we spend more money to lease it for 4 years than buy it and hold it for the next 20?
Because of the impact on the tax rate in any given year. We don't have money set aside to do this. We are proposing to spread it out. Again, it's a tax rate issue.
Mike
After
Burgle?
after 4 years, do we own it?
Yes.
Any more questions from the floor?
Yes, after 4 years, we own it.
That's not what I consider to be, so it's a buy it, it's a lease to own.
It's a lease to own, yes.
Could you please stand up when you're addressing the crowd? Thanks. All right, so I think there are any more questions from the floor. We'll now, oh, okay.
So we're at $34,000 out of the fund balance this year. We're at 4 year lease. What's going to happen in the next 3 years?
It'll be either fund balance or out of general taxation. It'll depend on what is happening in that year. But the reason that we're doing it out of fund balance this year is we have a capital reserve that you'll see a little bit in a couple of articles. We're going to put that money into fund balance because we can't legally, it's a accounting thing. We can't just take the money out of the capital reserve and spend it on a lease. So we got to put it into the general fund and then use it. So that's why we're using fund balance this year.
Okay. So again, this is the 4-year lease agreement for the backhoe loader that we're voting on. If you're in favor of the 4-year lease agreement, please signify raising your cards now. And may I see those who are opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you. Article 14. Do I hear a motion?
I move that the town vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 3-year lease agreement in the amount of $66,000 for the purpose of leasing a new recreation 15-passenger bus, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $22,000 from the December 31st, 2018 fund balance available on January 1st, 2019 for the first year's payment for that purpose. This lease agreement contains an escape clause.
May I have a second?
I second.
Please note that the selectmen unanimously recommend approval of this article and that this amount is not included in Article 22, the operating budget. A vote can take any form and simple majority is required here. Brooke Wakefield will give a short presentation. Brooke, for the few that may not know her, is our recreation director.
The good one.
Just the good
That
one?
good one.
This is the bad.
This is the bad one.
Hello, everybody.
Gotta put it on those little stickies of yours. Put one of your
So we are looking to replace our recreation bus. The one that we currently have is a 2005. And actually, this is not the right slide.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Can you just talk?
Yeah. So the one we have currently is a 2005. It's about 4 years past its expected life. And we're looking to get a new 2019 exact same bus. It's just upgraded with the 2019 edition. It's a multifunctional activity school bus. So it's the safest bus that we can get. And it's basically a replacement. Questions?
Oh, is that it? That was short.
Yeah.
We like that. We have hearty souls out here.
Yeah.
Questions from the floor?
And do we own it at the end of the lease term?
Yes.
That should be mentioned every time.
With an escape.
Sandy Larson, does it have seat belts? You know the other one?
It does have seat belts. And one of the added additions, if you just start with the standard model, which we're getting, is it does have the overhead storage, which is going to be very useful for us carrying kids with backpacks and other things.
I think that's it for questions. We'll take it to a vote now. All of those in favor of our new bus for the rec department, please raise your cards. And all those opposed. It's unanimous. Carried unanimously. Move on to Article 15 now. Do I hear a motion?
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $89,000 for the purpose of purchasing a parcel of property identified on the town tax maps as map 108 lot 43 and located adjacent to the beach on Corbett Pond and associated legal and administrative fees. Funds for these improvements will come from general taxation.
May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Selectmen recommend approval of this article by a 2-0 vote with 1 abstention. This amount is not included in the budget, Article 22. And this is a simple majority vote required. Mark, did you have something?
No. let
Yeah,
Rich do it.
just a couple very quick comments. This is, if people have looked on the tax map, this is a parcel of land behind the Golden Eagle that we would like to use to build upon some kind of pavilion or bathhouse. The lines are already there. The purchase of the property comes with the easements for electricity and water, if I'm not mistaken. And we got the price we got for it is the assessed value of the property.
Question. My name is Tom Meyer. What's the total cost of this bathhouse expected to be?
We haven't gotten to that stage yet. The point is just to see if the town would approve purchase of the land so we can move forward with putting some sort of building on it. It could be any number of configurations.
This would be how close to the bathrooms in Town Square?
It's on the other side of the pond. It's behind the beach, basically.
So it's over the bridge and up on the hill?
Yes,
Yeah.
behind.
The area out with a bench there?
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes.
So, by the time we purchased this land and built this facility, we would probably be spending considerable amount of money.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be better to perhaps work with the resort and refurbish the bathrooms in Town Square?
Well,
Those are year-round
I'll speak.
bathrooms in Town Square, as opposed to...
I'll speak to that, Tom. I've stayed out of the negotiation and the recommendation of this because of the conflict that exists. But as far as going forward with this, it's a project where I think the town needs additional bathrooms and additional places for day visitors who are going to use our beaches and our trails to come to. They need a place to kind of get out of the sun. There's only one men's toilet and one women's toilet in all of Town Square. The wedding, it will be right down the path from the wedding site, and will also be very close to the chapel that we're talking about if that is ever built. So it's one of the things that the town needs bathrooms, and hopefully, you know, when it comes time to build it and get it done, the mountain maybe will help contribute to the cost of having this done. But we think that it's very viable and very necessary. A lot of people don't spend the day here because of that specific lack. The beach is also being rented out a lot more and creating revenue for the town through wedding parties and all kinds of events that the weddings are bringing. So that would enhance our ability to rent it out and generate revenue by having that pavilion there.
So I'm just curious as to the history of this bizarre little piece of land in between the beach and Golden Eagle that obviously was subdivided many years ago. What was it for?
Before my time, I don't know.
I don't know.
It was actually created at the time that the town was gifted the pond. And the Waterville company asked as part of that negotiation to keep this parcel of land. I don't know exactly what their ultimate goal was, but whether they were going to put facilities in as far as a bathhouse or whatever, I don't know. But they wanted to maintain that land, and the selectmen at the time agreed to that, and that it was created when we took over the pond.
Questions in the back?
So one question I have, several questions. One question I have is, can that parcel, I have to do a pretty many facilities. Let me start with that. Can that parcel of land be used for building a store, a kiosk, a small home?
No, it's zoned recreational right now, so it's limited to the allowed uses in the rec zone.
So on that point, and understanding that it'll take probably a few $100,000 to get a nice facility, because Waterville, we're not going to put up, we're not going to have a temporary bathroom. It's going to be a nice facility. It's going to cost a lot of money. So my question is, why would you pay $90,000 for a small piece of property that by purchase, and it's a high price, it's not, I don't know how it got
talking to the Waterville company about donating the land. They suggested that the land was worth over $300,000. So we are where we are because they have paid property taxes on this piece of land at the rate, and I've forgotten, is it $83,000 for the land itself?
No, the
88,000 for the land itself, without any of the legal and administrative fees of transferring it over. So that's what they've been paying taxes on for many years. And it was difficult to argue when they came back and said they wanted over 100,000. We said we would move to 50, and then they dropped to 88. So that's how the negotiations went.
And I do want to correct one thing. It is zoned commercial 1, so it is allowed within the allowed uses in commercial 1 zone for any type of business development. Because it is, I just misspoke when I said that it's zoned recreational. It's not. It is zoned C1.
Thank you for that clarification. Mr. Meyer, I want to entertain some new people first, and then I'll circle back around to you unless somebody calls the question. Mr. Leo, in the back.
I think the heater facility down there, that place is jammed. Anyone goes down there, my own family uses it too. There's nowhere to go to the bathroom down there. I mean, it's like a low-end resort. You bring kids down there, there's nowhere to go to the bathroom. Or to change them. I think it's a no-brainer. If that, along with the trail improvements on that, that's going to make that whole area just much better. Right now, wherever you are, you can run downstairs to Town Street. That's ridiculous.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Tom Ennis.
I just want to know, what is the size of the parcel?
It's not in my notes. I'm sorry. It's I don't know, about a 0.7.
I would suggest you go back and negotiate and get a better price on something. I don't disagree with what anyone else said, but see if you can get a better price.
Okay, Mr. Copel.
Madam Moderator, I call the question.
I'm sorry, but there's a person that hasn't had a chance to ask a question.
Okay, let's have 2 more quick questions. First, over here.
People haven't had a chance yet.
Susie Bolter.
Hi, Susie Bolter. I think it's a sanitary issue too with the pond and reducing contamination of the pond by having fewer people eat in the pond.
It's not going, it's going downstream. It's Dalton's problem, right?
Yeah. No, it's our problem because it's in the pond.
Yeah.
Arisen in Mullinborough, which is where we live half the year, and it came up like 3 different times to put bathrooms in the playground. It finally passed last year, and guess what? The state gave a grant for half the money to build it.
They gave it to Mullinborough. They'll give it to us.
You put a grant request
We'll put it in.
Okay, 1 more question.
I think the grant request is a great idea. I was just wondering if there's any room for negotiation. What's he gonna do with it? What's Mr. Cantlin gonna do with it? Maybe he just wants to get rid of it, and maybe if we're a little tougher, you can negotiate more.
The motion is to either take it
Yeah.
to 88 or not.
Okay, so now I'll entertain your motion, Mr. Capel. Call the question.
I move the motion.
Thank you. Let's vote on that. Second. Thanks. Okay. Opposed upon the question? Okay, so now we'll vote on Article 15 to appropriate the $89,000 for purchasing that parcel of property between the beach and Golden Eagle. Let's vote on that. All in favor? All opposed? Put your hands up there so I can count. Got it, thank you. Article passes.
Sorry, Marilyn, there's no way you can vote in favor and have a renegotiation on the price, or is that, you can't do that?
The selectmen can renegotiate, absolutely.
But we just voted for
They
the,
can still work on
but we
that.
voted for,
You can go back.
Time's up for bond.
You can go back.
Bond article.
but that wasn't the question.
Um,
That was the question.
we can hear the results of the latter two bond articles, Article 10 and Article 11.
They would have had, to say.
Go back. Article 10 was for the solid waste trash truck, and Article 11 was for the new directional signs and maintenance and improvement of the walking, bikes and trails.
Right.
Nancy Knight did the
We can-
presentation.
we can-
Articles 10 and 11 both passed by 2/3 majority vote. Okay, so we've passed all three bond articles successfully tonight. Article 10 is 82 in favor, 2 against, 1 blank, for a total of 91. And Article 11 is 73 in favor, 16 against, for a total of 89. So those are our bond articles. Moving on to Article 16, do I hear a motion?
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $75,000 for repairs and improvements to the Osceola Library building. Funds for the improvements will come from general taxation.
May I have a second?
I second.
The selectmen unanimously recommend approval of this article, and this is not in the budget. This is not reflected in Article 22. The vote can take any form, but a simple majority is what's required here. Do you have something to say on this? Check marks.
Have a good time, Jim. You got it. All right. You do it.
Back in the fall, the ladies of the trustees of the library asked me to take a look at the library because it needed painting. So I said, well, we'll go over and take a look. It does need painting, however, it needs to be decided. It needs new trim boards and rec boards and soffit boards. So it could easily take a coat of paint, but it's all alligator skin and there's a lot of rock. So then we had another little problem in the water service line underneath the library during the lake, and we found other issues while we were fixing that should be addressed. So basically what the scope of work would be to strip all of the trim around the windows and corner boards and all the clapboards off, and then take a look, see what we got inside, make sure we don't have any rot, see if we have enough insulation, and we'd add insulation if we needed to, and then just totally assess the whole entire structure to make sure that it'll be around for another 100 years. So
Or two.
we would like also to do a little foundation work because there's an awful lot of critters that find their way in through, and we get calls to go over there because the place has a odor because something is dead. But at any rate, we'd like to get it fixed up so it's a little more, it'll be around for a while and we can all enjoy it. Any questions?
Thank you, Jim. Mike Burkle.
What's the timing on getting it fixed? Is it gonna, do you have
This-
contractors lined up, or is, I mean, that's a beautiful spot, and I would hate for us to be doing a lot of construction over the summer or fall.
No, if it is the will of this body to spend the money on it, then I'll get to work on it tomorrow. We'll get some contractors lined up, and we'll go through a bid process. I'll write up the scope of work, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. Mr. Kuchersky.
Ray Kuchersky, sounds like a little lot of work, is 75,000 enough?
Well, I'm certain that we could spend more, Ray, but I think it's a reasonable amount of money.
That might be an issue, Ray, but we got to open it up first. But the estimates that we have right now are for 75,000 should do it.
Any more questions from the floor? Amy Saulnier?
Amy Saulnier, is that a historical building? Didn't that used to be the schoolhouse?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
It's 135 years old. It was up, it's written up in the town minutes, and it was moved to that corner in 1955, and it had no heat, electricity, or foundation until 1965.
So seeing no more questions from the floor, we'll take it to a vote. All those in favor of the $75,000 for repairs and improvements to the Osceola Library building? All those opposed?
Getting it on, huh?
That's pretty clear, it's unanimous. Article 17, do I hear a motion?
Yes, I move that the town vote to establish a Curious George Cottage Capital Reserve Fund under the provisions of RSA 35-1 for repairs and maintenance of the building, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be placed into the fund, with said funds to come from the December 31st, 2018 fund balance, available on January 1st, 2019. And no amount will be raised by general taxation. Furthermore, to name the Board of Selectmen as agents to expend from said fund.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
The selectmen unanimously recommend approval of this amount. And again, this is not included in the budget, Article 22. And the vote requires a simple majority. Mark, did you have something to say about that?
We have been making repairs at the cottage. Rather than budgeting an amount of money each year in our building operating account, we want to create this capital reserve. And so when something like the furnace or something happens to shingles on the roof or whatever, we can repair the cottage. So the town is responsible for the maintenance of the building.
Mr. Coppell?
I move the motion.
I'll entertain that. All in favor of, may I have a second? All in favor of moving them, okay? And all those in favor of Article, what's that?
17.
Oh.
Opposed? Opposed to the moving?
Any opposed to moving the motion?
Okay.
No. And now we'll vote on the actual motion. All those in favor, please raise your card. All those opposed? It's unanimous. Article 18, do I hear a motion?
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $30,100 for the payment of the second year of a 3-year lease for a public works plow truck. This appropriation is to come from the December 31, 2018 fund balance, available on January 1st, 2019, and no amount to be raised by general taxation. This lease agreement contains an escape clause.
May I have a second?
I second the motion.
The selectmen unanimously recommend approval of this article, and this is not included in the budget, Article 22. This is by simple majority vote. Selectman, or Mark has something to say about that?
This was a lease that we entered last year. Because it has an escape clause, each year town meeting has to take it as a separate warrant article. So that's why it is here.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the floor on this? Good.
I move the motion.
Shall we take it to a vote? All those in, I've not accepted the moving of the motion because we're just about to vote on the question, so I reject that. We're now voting on Article 18. All those in favor, please raise their card. And all those opposed. Thank you. Passes unanimously.
Unanimous.
Article 19, do I hear a motion?
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to be added to the road repair capital account, with said funds to come from the December 31st, 2018 fund balance, available on January 1, 2019, and no amount to come from general taxation.
Second?
Sure.
I second the motion.
Sure.
It's been a long night.
The selectmen unanimously recommend approval of this article, and it's not included in the budget. There's no presentation required here, so we'll open it to the floor for a discussion. And now I think we will vote on Article 19, $20,000 to be added to the road repair capital account. All those in favor, please raise your card. All those opposed? Motion passes. Article 20, do I hear a motion?
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 for engineering costs associated with the Corcoran Pond Dam Improvement Project. This appropriation is to come from December 31st, 2018 fund balance, available on January 1st, 2019, and no amount to be raised by general taxation.
Second?
I second the motion.
Thanks. Please note that the selectmen unanimously recommend approval of this article. This is not included in the town budget, Article 22. This is a simple majority vote required. Mark?
The project has taken additional time, and the state has required us to engage additional engineers to review the plans for the project. That is what has led to the requirement for an additional $10,000 for engineering. This is the ongoing project at the dam.
Okay, any questions from the floor? We'll take it to a vote. All those in favor of Article 20, please raise your card. All those opposed? None? Passes. 21, do I hear a motion?
I move that the town vote to support the construction of a non-denominational memorial chapel structure on town-owned property in the vicinity of Corcoran Pond Beach and identified as map 105 lot 1.1 on the town tax maps. Funding for the design and construction of the structure will be the responsibility of a 501c3 nonprofit organization established for that purpose. Authorization of the structure and the precise location of the structure site will be the responsibility of the Board of Selectmen.
Second?
I second the motion.
Simple majority of voters, what's required here, and there is no appropriation of funds as part of this warrant article. I'd like to call Marty Britton to give a presentation.
Still survived.
The hardy birdie.
Okay, so we got together as a group, my children and Tom Rose and myself, about starting a chapel in Waterville because way back then, when we first came here, that was one of the things that we wanted to do in the village in the beginning. And then when Bob Kennedy was assassinated in 1968, at that time, the Kennedy family thought, you know, they'd always wanted a place to worship here anyway, and they suggested, and Tom suggested to them that it would be a memorial chapel in honor of Bobby Kennedy. And since that time, of course, my first husband passed away, and when my daughter was with him the last few months, he said, this is one thing I really, really wanted to happen here in the valley, and it's all part of the town, so we're hoping to be able to do it for him and for and as a thing for the town in general. I think it would be a wonderful thing to have. So very quickly, I'll just show you a little presentation we put together for the selectmen. Oh, now you can really hear me. Okay. About a month or so ago. So. Oh boy. So we have to go way back to the beginning here. Oh, okay, sorry. It was on the wrong slide, so. So this is a slide I should say also on the committee at this moment is I am chairman, Rose is co-chair, Katie Smith is treasurer, my daughter is secretary, and that is, did I forget somebody?
No, they can't go to trade. So that's the committee that we have right now. So here's a little presentation just that we put together. And in 1969, Tom put an article in Ski Magazine about this very thing about having a chapel in Waterville. So that's sort of the back history. And this is the group of people. Jack Sanders is who I did not mention, who's also on the committee. And then the Waterville Valley Foundation currently holds, we did raise some money, about $20,000, I think, and the foundation now has that money in there, in the foundation. So I just went through a couple of location and criteria and benefits of having a chapel in the valley. And, you know, it's for residents and visitors. It would be very picturesque. Obviously, we chose a site on the pond. It's close to public restrooms, especially if restrooms go in. Low maintenance and self-sustaining is what we're looking for. Covered venue for weddings and funerals, outdoor entertainment or theater or public speakers. Connection to the outdoors and natural scenery facility would be equipped with lighting and fans and outdoor components. Parking available at Town Square and potentially Golden Eagle. Good for local business in Town Square and future hotels and potential tourist attraction of historical landmark. And then the spot where we just put the fact that the spire road is a beautiful thing to see across Parkland Pond. As I say, though, it is non-denominational, open to everybody. So, and this is just the map about where we had thought it might be, close to the beach. Various maps. This is the road from Golden Eagle going down to the pond. There's a little area right there next to the beach. It would look over Osceola, and it would also look towards Bobby's Run. You can see it from that site. It's very pretty. So just again, and then we just looked at various open concept designs. This isn't written in stone. We haven't decided on any design particularly. But these are just ideas of different chapels. Some have crosses, some don't. We are thinking very simple construction of post and beam and stone. And it's an open concept, which might be later enclosed up at the mountain. If you go see Tim Smith's new construction, they have those glass garage doors open and closed, so you could close it in. But these just give you post and beam construction. We considered probably about from 80 to 100 people, keeping it fairly small, and then you could always sit people on the outside. This is a post and beam spire. A little design I just did to give you the idea of what it would look like on the landscape. And we thought of different partners who could work with us. You know, I could go over them all, but I won't bore you with them all. But there's a lot of people I think that would support this. And possible sponsors are the residents, the Corcoran Infinity Families, the company, the Waterville Valley Resort, the association, the Community Foundation, Golf Course, the White Mountain Athletic Club, and local business and regional businesses. And fundraising, which we would be doing on our own, and then hopefully the town will be taking over the maintenance of the building if it gets constructed. And obviously, silent auctions, watercolors, but you know, all the kinds of things that you would go through to raise money. And of course, weddings and different people to come to speak. I mean, it would have a way of maintaining itself, maybe financially. And obviously, we welcome any kinds of suggestions from anybody about this idea, because we need all the help we can, and we want the community to be behind us on this. So that's the presentation.
Thank you very much, Bertie. If the board doesn't have anything to add to this, I'll open it to the floor for questions. Maybe stay up here, Bertie, if there may be questions for you.
Yeah. And Tom's back here too, he can answer.
Ready?
Hiding.
Well, it's on the map.
Here, I'll do it.
Right here.
Oh, good, okay. I had a couple of maps that are good. Really quickly.
So here's the beach, and there's the path, here's Patrick's Field and the path that goes down. And so there's a little open area here, the town.
Okay, Bill Larson?
Yes. Who would own this structure and who would be responsible for maintaining it?
Well, Mark said the town.
Okay, that is getting thrown under the bus. That's getting thrown under the bus at 8 o'clock.
Hopefully the town will maintain the building and
It does say that
we'll
we
have
would,
a chapel committee
Yeah.
we could
to
authorize everything.
do all the rest
We're
of
just donating.
organizing events and so on. For weddings or
You want me to bail you out?
events in the building.
No, you need to say that.
So we'll have to have a board of some sort, obviously, to be able to
The,
do all these things.
the article does say that the structure and the location of the site and so forth will be the responsibility of the Board of Selectmen. So it's not as if everything, again, is, pardon upon, set in stone.
Right, right.
Those
It's a
arrangements will
work
be
in
worked
progress,
out.
so-
We're agreeing to donate the land, I think, is the...
I don't understand.
Allowing them to put
It's
it
a-
on town
well,
property.
yes.
Whether you will allow the town to
You
give
will
us.
allow a hypothetical structure on town property?
Yeah,
If they can get the finance.
it's a sense of the meeting.
Well, in other words, are you going to be backing, would you, as residents and townspeople, back the idea of this concept? Is what we're thinking.
And
So we can use the town's land to build it on.
before they go out and do the fundraising, before they get architectural work done on the building and everything else, this is a sense of whether or not the town would allow the selectmen to work with this 501c3 and put some sort of non-denominational chapel in an area around the pond that is town-owned land.
Mr. Coppell?
As I understood it, I guess I'm wrong, we are voting to allow a not-for-profit 501c3 to use town land to build a non-denominational structure. All right? Now, that raises some of the issues, as people have said. Who owns it? Does the 501c3 own it? Which is probably the right answer. Who maintains it? You kind of said the town has to maintain it, which doesn't really. Because theoretically, this thing should be a revenue raiser. Because I'm assuming if somebody's having a wedding there, you're charging a fee,
That's right.
right?
That's
So-
right. And so the selectmen will work with the 501c3 and will...
I just want to make sure, we are voting
Yeah.
to allow the 501c3 to use town land.
No, you are voting to allow the selectmen to negotiate the use of the town land, because if you notice in the last part of the warrant article, it says that authorization of the structure and the precise location of the structure site will be the responsibility of the Board of Selectmen. And so before the town could agree to maintain this, it would have to be put into the town budget, and it would have to come back to town meeting to do that. And then we would have to talk about the revenue stream and all of that. If the selectmen decided that the town should maintain the building. So they can't just do that carte blanche without coming back to talk to the town meeting about that. This is just to go forward so that the 501c3 can go out and start doing the fundraising and the design of the building.
Okay.
So it's a sense of the
Comment.
Yeah, it's a sense.
This is
my comment on the forest rim. Just put this out there. Couldn't 501c purchase the other parcel of land the town's going to buy for $88,000 in the bathroom to put this one in?
No is the short answer, I think.
No.
Well, one's along the beach, and we're building a bathhouse, and a pavilion is the idea for recreational purposes, as opposed to a structure to hold services or to have lectures given. I think you'd have two different facilities.
This discussion
Is
is in a
sense,
sense,
right.
it's the sense of the meeting to give this group our feedback as to if they go out and raise this, would the town entertain a written proposition that would have all these definitions in? And it would be up to the townspeople, not the Board of Selectmen. You know, we're saying we are the decision makers, but this is public hearings, this is town meeting, this is everything else. What we're doing is saying, do we think this is a good idea? And that's all we're asking today.
Mrs. Powell.
I just want to know, I'm just curious, I think it's a fantastic idea. Where the Osceola Arbor is that also town land?
No, that's privately owned.
That's privately owned by
Yes.
who?
The Waterville company.
Do they sell that
So
to
it's
the
Waterville
There, it's
company
under,
that gets
it's
paid
under
for
agreement.
as well.
That's correct. Well, maybe the result, I don't know what
No, it's
the
Waterville
agreement.
Company rents it.
Waterville company rents it.
Crispy or Byers?
I don't know.
So I just want to understand, what we're voting for today is not to secure that that land will be
Right.
used. We're just voting to have this group go out and begin to.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
We think it's a good idea.
We think
or
it's a
we're
good
saying,
idea.
Oh, no, it's a horrible idea. Don't waste your time raising money we don't.
Because we're not going to let you
Because we're
use the
never
land.
going to let you use the land.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're essentially
Tim.
polling you.
Tim
on
Rose.
this idea.
Tim Rose.
Tim?
Tim Rose?
So this is somewhat similar to a non-binding resolution.
Correct.
That
Sense
the
to me.
support of,
Correct.
and it just mentioned one potential public liability. Who was going to have
That,
that?
Oh, yeah, that's
yep.
all stuff
It's
that's
all
way
stuff
down the
way
road.
down the road. Yep. Non-binding resolution. Good way to look at
I think
it.
we're through the questions.
I move the motion.
We'll take it to a vote. All those in favor of proceeding with the non-denominational chapel? All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Article 22, may I hear a motion?
Okay, enough
Thank
of the
you, Bertie.
appetizers.
Yeah.
The main meal. I move that the town raise and appropriate the sum of $3,982,499 for general municipal operations. This article does not include appropriations from any of the preceding articles.
Second?
I'll second.
So this is the big one. This is Article 22 that I've now mentioned a dozen times. This is our municipal budget. The vote can take any form and a simple majority is required here. This is the general operating budget for fiscal year 2019. It's not going to be a presentation, but
Nope.
if you look in the town report, there's a lot of budgetary information. The budget summary is on page 14 and 15. So I think we'll start, do you want me to, okay,
Just
there's
open
the
it.
town budget on page 16 to 21. The revenue page is on 22. Long-term debt is on page 56, and 57 is the debt by debt. The debt by debt
By department.
by, oh.
Debt by
It's
department.
wrong. Okay. Oh,
Department by
I
department.
see that. Debt by department.
Thank you.
Yes. The debt by department also shows how much we will increase the total town debt if all the bonded articles pass.
Which they did.
And they have all passed. So you need to add that number to the $3,982,499.
Right. Can I speak to
Yes.
that, Marilyn? So if you go, if you go to pages 14 and 15, they look like this. You have each one of our town departments on here. You have last year what you approved, and then what's being recommended for this year in the two columns, right? And then towards the bottom, you have the capital reserve accounts on page 15. You have the capital reserve accounts, and then the special warrant articles are all of those articles we just did. And Judy has checked off everything that's been approved in those special warrant articles. So now, if you approve this warrant, this final general operating budget warrant article, then you can go down to the bottom for the total appropriations recommended, okay? And then, as Marilyn said, on page 22, we show you the revenues that we estimate to go against that appropriation. And if you subtract the revenues from the total appropriation recommended, you get $2,899,669. And that will be the amount of taxes that we estimate right now would need to be raised in October when we set the tax rate. Okay? And so the question is, do you have any questions about these departmental expenditures?
We'll take questions from the floor. Mr. Leo, in the back.
Yeah, I just had a question. What's jumped out to me, what's going on with the wastewater? It's more than half the increase, $73,000. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes. The increase in the wastewater department is we have a person who has worked for the town for 37 years who has told us that he is retiring on December 31st. So we have budgeted for a new person to be hired hopefully in a month or so. So that's a new person for a part of the year. That's the majority of that increase. The rest is electricity, heating, and other operating costs that have gone up. Does that make sense? Do you? Oh, okay. But because of the overlap in 2019, there is additional cost to bring that person, the new person, on board, and then we've got to train them up. Because of the plant, there's licensing requirements. We need to bring that person on board before the retirement.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dan Picos?
Yeah, Stan Picos. Mark, let me put you on the spot tonight. Page 55, you would, sir?
Yep.
Great history. We've approved some items tonight, not in your operating budget.
Yep.
We've approved some additional debt, which was in your capital forecast earlier.
Correct.
Debt service?
The debt service will actually start in 2020.
Okay, so we'll have debt service.
Yeah.
Can you give me a sense, give us a sense of the tax rate with the stuff we did approve?
What's that sheet, Tim? Which one? The tax rate sheet. No.
Page 55.
In your book. Hold on just a sec, I can answer that question. Yeah. Okay, we're estimating that all we can do is the town portion of the tax rate. So when you look at page 55, and you see under the town it says $8.49. We're estimating that with everything approved, that will go to $8.78, which is a 29-cent per thousand increase. The rest of it, whatever passed at the school board meeting last night, and then the county and the state education tax, we don't control those three pieces, so.
It's worth knowing that the school board decreased by $138,000 last night, which is about, I can't remember the number, I think it's like 40 cents.
Yeah. So that's going to offset the increase, more than offset the increase in the town side. We don't know about the county or the state education tax at this
Are
point.
there any more questions? More questions?
Bill.
Bill Larson?
Yes, at the budget hearings, I think we discussed, or there was discussed, a new position in the rec department.
Correct.
Which was intended to drive increased activity, at least in the summer, in terms of visitors and the rest.
Yes.
And I think one of the comments when we talked to that budget hearing, was that you would provide deliverables in terms of what were the objectives of that, what was that person going to achieve, and how do we measure whether it has been done? Has that been done?
Brooke?
Brooks, we hear this.
So I believe the question at the budget hearing was to see how you could measure the success of not really what that exact person is going to be doing, but what we intend to do as a department. A couple of things that we can do is we can get a baseline measurement of using trail counters this summer. Of course, we haven't been doing that in the past, so it would have to be a baseline one. We also have our WVRA, what's that word? The occupancy during the week is another way that we can sort of measure if this is successful, and also our own program counts. So those are the ones that we came up with that we can do this year.
And we're gonna need to track those for a couple or 3 years, Bill. And we're gonna need to work on other forms of measurement, but we need to get started. We need to get the new programming in place, and we will measure that and report. That is one of the things we'll report next year to town meeting. And we may come up with additional ways to measure it.
Any more questions from the floor? Good. So we'll take it to a vote. Article 22. This is a big one. Budget. All those in favor of our municipal budget, please raise your cards. And all those opposed. Are there any opposed? Just late voters. Okay, so it passes unanimously. All right. Article 23. Do I hear a motion?
I make the motion that the town vote to allow the operation of Keno within the town pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 284-41 through 51. We have been requested by the state to put this before the town meeting. It has nothing to do with the Board of Selectmen.
I'll second. Okay. So, as Mike said, this was requested by the New Hampshire State Lottery Commission. I think it's important to note that the selectmen unanimously recommend disapproval of this article. So, there's no presentation, so we'll take questions from the floor. Curiosity? Tom Gross.
Yeah, Tom Gross. Absolutely not. I've lived for 30 years. We're dealing with, and we got rid of hard foods, and we've got one addiction down there. We don't need another one. This is a family resort. Families are coming in to play hockey and ski and do all that good stuff. And the last thing we need is their parents sitting in some bar playing that stupid game. So not
Yes.
The way that it's written, that the town vote to allow the operation of Keno within the town pursuant to the RSA. So if you raise your card in favor, you'll be allowing Keno in. Okay, so all those in favor of allowing Keno? And all those opposed? Well, that's
Unanimously
very clear.
opposed.
24, do I hear a motion?
Moving right along, I move that the town vote to discontinue the ladder truck maintenance and replacement.
You don't need to.
We can table this one.
Table that, Margaret.
Go to,
Just move to table it.
I need to hear an article that we table this. I need to hear a motion that we table this article.
I move that we table this article.
Second?
I second.
Okay, and let's vote on that. It's now redundant because Article 9, the bond issue, has passed, and the use of the capital reserve for that part of the funding is approved, so we just need to take this article off the table. So let's have
Put
a
it on.
vote on tabling Article
Table it.
24.
Table it.
Thanks.
Thank
and
you.
those that aren't in favor of tabling it? Right. And Article 25.
I move that the town vote to discontinue the backhoe maintenance and replacement capital reserve created in 2016. Said funds with accumulated interest to date of withdrawal are to be transferred to the municipality's general fund.
Second?
I second.
There's no presentation on this. Is there any discussion from the floor about this? Let's take it to a vote. So this is to, if you vote yes, it's in favor of discontinuing the backhoe maintenance and replacement capital reserve fund. All those in favor?
We go 26.
All those
Page
opposed?
26, it's Margaret.
MS?
Page 26.
Okay, getting there?
Margaret moves to
So we already did earlier, 26,
page
27,
26,
28, 29.
Margaret.
You're getting there.
Yeah, page 26, Margaret.
To limit reconsideration. It's our page 26.
No, yeah, we got one more thing, one more motion, and then we
Limit
can.
reconsideration of all votes taken to this point.
Second?
I second.
This requires a simple majority vote. This is restricting reconsideration, at least at this town meeting. All those in favor? And all those opposed? Very good. And Article 30,
I move to.
there are no agent auditors or
Right,
committees
just
appointed who
table.
need to make
Yeah.
a presentation at this time, so.
I move to table Article
Thank
30.
you. We have a second?
Mike.
I second.
Okay, we'll table Article 30. All those in favor? Thanks. And moving on to Article 31, we have a few things left to do. I want to report the results of the official polls. Let's do that first.
All right. No, you have not.
Let's do that first. So if you can recall, I have the results for the two secret ballot votes, Articles 26 and 27. So 26 was to increase the select board to 5 members, and that failed. And Article 27 was to move the town to the bifurcated town meeting, voting on Tuesday, meeting on Saturday, and that failed as well. The results, do you want the numbers? Okay. So 26 was 50 no and 35 yes, and 27 was 74 no and 9 yes. So both failed. Okay. Now, everybody's curious about the results of the official balloting polling hours today. Probably more of the amendments on the zoning amendments than who was elected for town office. So I'll just run through those really quickly. On the school ballot, remember you had 2 ballots that you were voting on. On the school ballot, Mike Coppell is our school board member elected, and our new school board clerk is Lori Fernandez, and our school board district moderator, just take a guess. Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So for town ballot, let's see, where do I go next?
Select man.
For selectmen, Mike Aronson, library trustee, Cheryl Moak, trustee of the trust funds, by write-in is Chris Beerbreyer, and Terry Waite for our town clerk. Now, Articles 2 through 7 were the zoning amendments, okay? So, in a nutshell, all passed except Article 5, which was no. Are you willing to wait till tomorrow when they're posted to see the actual numbers, or do you want to spend the time going through the minutia? Okay. All right, so it was Article 5 that failed, the rest passed on the zoning amendments. So now Mark has something to say. If you noticed, a lot of people are very fond of Tal Kirsch, and this year we dedicated the annual report to Tal Kirsch, who has done a lot for this community for many years. I think Mark has something to say about it.
Yeah, So I just wanted to take a moment and to make sure that it's in the minutes of the meeting that the annual report was dedicated to Tal Kirsch. Tal served both on the planning board and the board of selectmen for many years, and he was instrumental at a time when the resort and the Waterville company were looking to find a way to maintain the pond going forward. And he did a lot of work on the negotiations for the town assuming the ownership of the pond. And the document that we eventually was approved and signed by the board was mostly due to his work. And given the circumstances and some of the options that the town faced, I think Tal did a fantastic job. I worked with him for 10 years before he got done as a selectman. He was also the selectman's ex officio representation on the planning board, and he was a very thoughtful person when he was serving us and really had the best interests of the town at heart. So just wanted to recognize Tal for all of the work that he did for us.
Thank you. Two more things. Brenda Conklin.
Turn it off.
Brenda Conklin.
Is it on?
Brenda Conklin. Please, I have an item for the sense of the meeting. This isn't a binding vote, just a sense. I'd like to ask our selectmen to look into repurposing some part of our town-owned school. With 22 students in a school that was built for 45, some space might be available for storage, office use, preschool, which we talked about at last night's school meeting, library, historical society, the Waterville Academy, adult education, or even the expansion of the rec department with their addition of the parks department.
So, is there any discussion about that? So what we're asking for is, what do you think? And if there's no questions, are you interested in moving forward on this idea? Just a sense of the meeting. If yes, please raise your cards.
I have a...
No, that's not your card. Do you have a question?
Yes. So as the chairman of the school board, there's 3 classes. So if we're going to do any repurposing, there's going to be construction involved. Because the 3 classes are separated by partitions or walls. So keep that in mind. If we're going to go and shrink those class sizes down, that means construction inside that building. The kitchen is a long hallway. The dining area, kitchen area is a long hallway away from the school room. So I don't know what we have in mind, but just understand this is not free. If we do something, it will be expensive.
There's nothing binding here. We're just looking for a sense.
I understand.
If people want to go forward investigating this.
But given if somebody says let's go do this, I want to give here's what's going to be if you have to go do it.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions? So let's take it to a vote. Yes, you're interested in moving forward with this idea of repurposing some of the space here? Raise your card now.
Point of order.
Yes?
Is that the vote, or the vote is really to have the selectmen explore?
Correct.
That's right. Did you ask?
That's how it's written.
Well, I don't think it was stated who would explore this, just that we would explore it.
It said selectmen.
You did say selectmen? Okay, so the selectmen would explore this idea. Okay.
Everybody's in agreement
Yes,
except Marilyn.
but the selectmen would explore it. Yes, in favor of it? No, not in favor of it? Oh, goodness, looks like it's, can we have, I have to count.
Her own motion.
29, I got 30. Okay, all those in favor again, can I see your hands? Looks like a smaller number. 1, 2, 3.
I'm always in favor of
15.
exploring.
So, no, I guess we'll not move forward on this idea. It's a vote. Thank you, that's just a sense of the meeting. Are you done? Did you have one more item? Yeah. Okay, I've got one more.
Oh, sorry.
This is another, Brenda Conklin, this is another one for the selectmen. I'd like to ask the selectmen to initiate the use of secure electronic transfers to pay our town expenses. This has nothing to do with paying our tax bills online. My interest is with the town paying invoices to run the town. Just as direct deposit has been a boon for paying salaries, so too should electronic transfers be used to pay bills. Bank-to-bank transfers seem even more secure these days than postal mail. Cutting physical checks is outmoded. The speed of electronic transfers would likely eliminate late fees. The savings in time, accuracy, and paper would be considerable. If the town's bank is not willing to offer electronic service for less than the cost of the paper, envelope, postage, and labor to stuff and seal the envelopes, then we should find a bank that is willing.
Thank you. Any questions on this idea? Mike Fergal?
Are we doing online banking? Are we trying to, I don't understand what's happening today. Are people physically in the town cutting checks and putting postage on it, or are we using an online bill pay?
Judy can answer that. I'm sorry, Mark, you can answer it.
We do cut checks because the treasurer is involved. There are a lot of things, we will look at this, but there are controls that we would have to develop that we do, that we currently use the paper trail from an auditing standpoint to keep track of what bills were paid. So we will look at it.
I would just like to add that I would support this particular motion simply because it doesn't hurt to look at perhaps automating our bill paying system. That's all that's being asked here, and just a sense if you would agree to have us, the selectmen, take a look at that and see if it's feasible.
Yes, interested? Raise your cards. Not interested?
Thank you.
Unanimous. Oh. No, not unanimous.
Oh, come on.
One
Not
opposed.
Two. Am I all alone here?
2/3 of the select board.
2. Thank you. Now, I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned at 8:45 p.m.
Did you want these back?
Sure, if you want, we can use them.
No, if you want to repurpose the folders.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Do you want to keep any of the paperwork?
No, it's all good. It'll all be quickly OBE'd anyway.
No, I know.
Made it to the end, Cheryl.
Just don't resign right now.